Thank you very much. Welcome again. I will try my best. I hope it will be as good as yesterday or better. Okay, like yesterday, it will be an interactive presentation. I will just give the clue and you'll find the answers. And today I changed something. I will save you from reading the cases. I prepared videos. You will just listen and try to find the structure. Yesterday we talked about brain lobes, but this time it will be non-cortical regions and subcortical regions. Okay, let me start with first structure. There are patients with specific structure damages. So we will try to find which structure is damaged.
So SM is one of the most famous case studies.
Do you hear sound?
In all of
Yes, we do.
She's a woman who is currently, I think, in her. So SM is one of the most famous case studies in all of affective neuroscience. She's a woman who is currently, I think, in her 40s. And as far as we can tell, the destructive has left her essentially fearless to at least external stimuli. And to test whether SM is in fact fearless, the researchers who worked with her took her to a couple of the most frightening places that they could think of in the local area. So one was an exotic pet store, and they offered her exotic snakes to hold in the store, even though she says she's afraid of snakes. Many people would hesitate to hold a snake right up to their face and touch its tongue and inspect its face really closely, but SM had no problem doing that. They also took her to a place that's, it is at least called the most haunted house in the United States. And they decorated it for Halloween, and they have people, the staff, dressing up as monsters and things to try to scare people. And the researchers in SM went through with just a regular group. And all the other people who were in the group, as soon as they were in this haunted house, it was apparently very spooky, were huddling together, and they were really slow to go around corners. And SM was taking the lead and saying, "Come on, guys, follow me." And she would be the first around the corners. And when the monsters jumped out and tried to scare her, apparently she would scare them sometimes, because she had no fear response to them, which they were not expecting. And so what was really interesting about this is that SM is not emotionless. She experienced a lot of curiosity and excitement, which we think are governed by other regions of the brain predominantly. But she just doesn't seem to have any normal anticipatory fear response. But her lack of fear response gets her in trouble. So she apparently walks home in the evenings through sort of a vacant lot, and she was mugged there at one point, and I think at knife point. And most people, when something scary like that happens to you and you are at risk of getting hurt, you have a normal fear response when you're approaching that same place that would send you avoiding it. I mean, that's what the fear response is all about: avoid things that might hurt you. And she doesn't have that response, so she continues to take that same route home every night by herself. Yeah.
Okay, what do you think about that? We can start with the symptoms. What's the problem with her? What can she do? Yes, Humay. No sense of fear. Hazem says, okay. Humay, what do you say? I can't hear you. I cannot unmute myself.
Oh, yeah, I can now.
Okay.
She does not experience, that woman does not experience any kind of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would cause problems regarding protecting oneself.
Okay, great. Okay, I will create a pool now. I need to edit the choices. Mickey, can you give me a co-host? Make me co-host. I can edit. Okay, then can you edit the pool? Are you able to edit? Okay.
Okay, I will try to do it now. This is not about lobes, right?
No, I will change the choices. I will write to you directly.
I guess I can't change it right now. Maybe in the next one we can start the pool.
Okay.
I will try to fix it, sorry.
Okay, I can say, let me prepare. Or just never mind. What is your guess? I took one guess. It's correct. Yes, İlkay.
I think it seems like there's a problem with amygdala as she has no fear response.
Yes, it's amygdala. Yes, you are doing good.
So
Amygdala is in the temporal lobe region, just directly in front of the hippocampus. And it's a roughly almond-shaped mass, gray matter inside each cerebral hemisphere, involved with experiencing emotions. Okay, great. And amygdala has a special role in the stress because of it's the center of the emotions. It can cause pain, stress, fear, and it's make us to fight and flight response. So, and it causes the stress. Okay, second.
In 1953, a desperate young man agreed to undergo an experimental procedure to remove a part of his brain in an attempt to cure his seizures. Henry Molaison had begun experiencing seizures as a child following a bicycle accident where he cracked his skull. At 27 years old, his seizures were so severe and uncontrollable that he was unable to lead a normal life. His surgeon, William Scoville, was a well-known lobotomist at the time. He had spent his career performing lobotomies on psychotic patients and noted that in some of those patients, the lobotomy had the unintended consequence of relieving their seizures. And so on September 1st, 1953, William Scoville removed a thumb-sized section from both sides of Henry's brain. The majority of the medial temporal lobe was removed, including the surgery did alleviate some of Henry's seizures, but it also left him unable to form any new memories, eventually becoming known in the medical literature as patient HM. Our understanding of memory at the time was rudimentary. Memory was thought to be distributed throughout the entire brain and tied to other brain functions, such as perception and intellect. But the surgery didn't affect Henry's perception, nor did it dim his intellect. In fact, he scored higher on IQ tests following the surgery. Similarly, his language and motor skills were entirely preserved. It seemed the only thing he had lost was the ability to form new memories.
Okay, what do you think? What's the problem? You can also write directly to chat. Come on, it's easier. He has a problem with memory center. Yes. İlkay, Humay. What do you think?
Is that the hippocampus, as is
Yeah.
directly related to memory?
Yes, it's hippocampus. Yes, it's like hippocampus is a complex brain structure embedded deep into the temporal lobe. It has a major role in learning and memory. And there's a fun fact about hippocampus. Okay, in Greek mythology, hippocampi were sea monsters similar to aquatic horse, with the head and the front legs of horse, but the winding tail of a fish or dolphin. Poseidon, god of the sea, was carried across the oceans in a chariot pulled by hippocampi, who sometimes took him out of the water. And what is the relation of this with our topic? The name of hippocampus is derived from the Greek hippocampus, since the structure's shape resembled that the seahorse. It looked like very similar, right? Hippocampus is actually coming from a Greek mythology. Okay, third case.
Awesome. That is the perfect word to describe a brave young girl from Arlington, Virginia, named Ellie McGinn. Ellie is in the fight of her life battling a rare brain disease. The name of that disease is tough to pronounce, but not nearly as tough as she is. And we wanted to share her story.
Hi, my name is Ellie McGinn. I'm 8 years old.
When Ellie McGinn was just 3 years old, her mom started noticing some issues with her balance.
I noticed she couldn't do things that her peers were doing. She started falling down when she walked.
7, 8, 9, 10, kaput.
At first, doctors thought the goofy toddler was just being funny. But one day after she collapsed on the playground, they knew something more serious was wrong.
That's when I really started to look for answers, and we started going to doctors.
Okay. The young girl has a much more worse disease. I mean, there are lots of other symptoms with her. It's a genetic problem, but the part of the symptoms is related with a specific organ, a part of the brain. And what's the problem, and what can the structure be? Okay. Azem, yes.
So is it the cerebellum because it's related to balance and coordination?
Mm-hmm. İlkay, what do you say? You
But I can say the same, as it should be cerebellum.
Yes, you are right. It's easy to guess.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Cerebellum is responsible for balance and posture. The cerebellum is important for making postural adjustment in order to maintain balance. According to the Larry von der Wand, author of the prominent role of the cerebellum in the learning, origin, and the advancement of culture, cerebellum has much more neuron than brain. In his article, he says cerebral cortex has 16 billion neurons, but cerebellum has 69 billion neurons. And comparison with animals, dolphins have much more larger cerebellum, also elephants. It might be they need much more balance. Okay, the last case.
Hi, Malcolm. Thanks for coming in today for your clinic appointment.
So, Dr. Kaplan?
Yes. So you had a stroke, is that right?
I had a stroke back in May 2020, and just after I had painted my daughter's office, just didn't feel right. And I ended up in Thames Hospital, transferred to Waikato to 5, I think it was, room 4. Then to 5, back to 4, and I have nothing better to say for the attention that was given me.
I appreciate that. Now,
No problems.
when you had your stroke, could you move your left arm at all?
When I had my stroke, I could for a while, but then my left arm, my left leg, everything on the left-hand side was really useless. And we found out through
Right.
stroke, and it was just through general the physio that I am like I am now. I can actually walk with a walking stick. The attention to detail and to each patient, fantastic.
And what kind of medications? What are the things that you remember we were really concerned about?
I think you were concerned because I was a diabetic as well.
Right.
Concerned about my blood sugar.
Right.
And my blood pressure.
Blood pressure, right. We had to get that under good control.
Which eventually was under control. It was too good. You know, in the middle of the night, I'd get a jelly bean or a ham sandwich. You know, to build my to build up my blood sugars.
Yeah, but your blood sugar was out of control when you
That's
came to the
correct.
hospital.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, it might be more challenging. Let me summarize. The patients had a stroke, and if I want to explain stroke, it's a occlusion of brain vessels, and it caused some necrosis, specific, maybe not necrosis, but short time damage to unable to use that part of the brain. If you don't open that vessel, it caused the necrosis. And the patients had a stroke in specific part of his nervous system. And he's traveling with using one part of his body as a motor function. And also his blood sugar and blood pressure is in trouble. Okay, what's your ideas? What can it be? Yes, Humay, Azem.
I think it's on the frontal lobe, but the opposite part. So if I think the left part was paralyzed, so there should be a right part.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Why do you say that? Which symptoms make you think that?
You said that it was, and I think he also said that he could not grab stuff or walk. So it was about motor skills, and motor skills relates to frontal lobe. So that's why I said frontal lobe.
Okay. You say yesterday we talked about that. I mentioned about homunculus, and I said motor functions are controlled with precentral gyrus. It is also, yes, it's close to frontal, close to parietal lobe. But yesterday, let me ask you that. What was the symptoms yesterday with frontal lobe tumor? Can you remember that? There was a specific symptoms for frontal lobe.
We had like 2 cases where there was like aphasia, if I'm not mistaken, like speech impairments.
It was temporal lobe.
Yeah. With frontal lobe.
What about personality change?
It was about the personalities, the change of the personalities, and also the person can forget some words, acts different, in like changing the behavior.
Yes, you're correct. Yesterday we talked about personality change, and it's okay to think about motor function problem with frontal lobe. It's okay, no problem. But there's another 2 symptoms: problem in blood sugar level and blood pressure. Yes, İlkay.
These are hormonal problems, so I think it might be hypothalamus.
Okay, you also catch another part of the symptoms. They are all related with hormonal regulations. But what about the motor function problem? Yes, Azem.
Isn't it in the motor cortex area, the right one? Like the damage, since it controls the left part of the body?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, you are catching two different parts of the symptoms. One group saying it's a motor problem and says cortex. One says it's a hormonal regulation, it's about hypothalamus. But if we combine two of them, yes, İlkay.
I guess then I will say thalamus.
Okay, thalamus is responsible for.
As I know, it's also related to motor function.
Right, yes.
So I thought, yeah, it also regulates the, other types of functions of the body. So it might be.
Yeah, it regulates the motions, yes, but it's not directly related with hormonal regulations.
Is it the medulla?
You're right, just say the bigger name. The medulla and
yeah.
Pons.
Internal capsula, all of it, maybe.
Oh. Let's continue with medulla pons and medulla oblongata pons. One more. There's a structure.
The structure is brainstem.
Yes. Great. Okay. Great. Let me explain that. Brainstem is the bridge of the all body and brain. Motor functions, neurons, pyramidal tracts, we say, motor function tracts, is passing through brainstem. Also, the neurons which carrying the information about body systems, non-voluntary systems, is carrying through also brainstem to hypothalamus, and it regulates the hormonal problems. So there are two non-related problems are getting through in the brainstem. Your brainstem is the bottom part of your brain. It looks like a stalk that connects the rest of your body to your spinal cord. Your brainstem sends signals from your brain to the rest of your body. It controls many subconscious body functions like breathing, blood pressure, blood glucose level, and maintain your heart rate. Also, it's a bridge for pyramidal system. It's motor functions system. Okay. You did a great job. The last one was a much more discussion, which I was meant to do for this presentation. The first three one was easier, directly. We couldn't make a discussion, but last one is great. Okay, now I brought some MRI images, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, think right is left, left is, it's mirror image. Okay, never mind. We don't have a problem with size today. Just guess the structures. 2 is much more challenging. I will take the guess, then I will continue one by one. You can start with easier ones. Yes.
I think the second one is the occipital lobe.
It's close to occipital lobe, but today, which structures I will talk about?
Third one is cerebellum, no?
Yes, it's cerebellum. Brain lobes. I mean, yes, it's cerebellum. Cortex and cerebellum. Yes, Kumar.
Fourth one is pons.
Yes, brainstem.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 and 2 is much more challenging. But you can make a guess with thinking about which structures we talked about.
First one is temporal, but hippocampus, maybe?
No, amygdala.
Okay.
It's hard to say. Yes, I know. It's require a little bit experience. It's hard to say directly to look into the structure. Okay, let's go through one by one. It's the amygdala. It's just in front of the hippocampus. It's like just in the very front of the cortex. And as you see, you can see my arrow, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. It's hippocampus and it's the amygdala. Amygdala is in front of the hippocampus. And okay, let me explain a little more. We didn't go through that, but it's fun to explain. Okay, it's hippocampus, it's amygdala, it's the ventricle which full with spinocerebellar fluid. Okay, it's not a neuronal system. It's just includes fluid. It's also include fluid. The yellow are include fluids, and it's brainstem, pons, medulla oblongata, midbrain, and here is the basal ganglia, the red one. It consists of globus pallidus, putamen, caudoid nucleus, but you will forget the names. Never mind. I tried so many times to memorize them, and their functions generally responsible for motor controls as well as motor learning, executive functions, behaviors, and emotions. I mean, it's a really complex structure responsible for very complex functions. And okay, it's by basal ganglia. Amygdala is part of the basal ganglia. Said hippocampus, structures with fluid, and the purple one is thalamus. You said one of your guess was thalamus, and in the green one is connected with hippocampus. It's the limbic system. Limbic system also is responsible for behavior and emotional response, especially within in possibility to harm. Like if you need survival, your limbic system activates. It's like basic instincts of the animals. Like if you're in danger, you just try to survive. This structure is responsible for this response. Also, feeding, reproduction, caring for children, and fight or flight response are basic, fundamental instincts of the animals. And yes, as a summary, is the brainstem, basal ganglia, amygdala, hippocampus, and structures with fluid, and limbic system. Okay. I just wanted to summarize the fundamental subcortical structures. The second one. What do you think about that? You can think like that structure. It's also in front. We are looking from the front of the head. Also, we are looking from the front. You can compare like that. Any suggestion? We can go through our structures we talked about. Yes, mine.
I can only say it's probably hippocampus, but I'm not sure if the specific place of hippocampus.
Yes, it's hippocampus. It's okay to be not sure, of course, because they are the structures hard to recognize in MRIs. I put them just because I gave you two structures, two possibility. I mean, four, but two of them is really clear. So it can be either amygdala or hippocampus. So so that you can you can guess the structure. It's hippocampus, right? Like it's in the bottom of the temporal lobe and the side of the brainstem, and it's the thalamus. Let's look at again. And it's hippocampus, bottom of the temporal lobe and side to the brainstem, and the corner of the thalamus, the purple structure behind the globus pallidus. Yes. Okay. Go to the third one. What did we say? Just say that.
We said it was like stem, right?
Yes, it's brainstem. And the last one, what did we say?
B is cerebellum, I know, but I'm not sure about A.
B cerebellum. What about C? Oops.
Like part of cerebellum is not there, it's non-existent.
Yes, it's not exist. It doesn't exist. Okay, that's that one. Problem is, yes.
Maybe thalamus, because I'm not sure.
Okay, it's actually, you know, the three of images are belong to one patient. I mean, it's all same patients. There's a problem with agenesis of cerebellum, which means cerebellum does not exist, part of the cerebellum. When you look from the front, you say there's a hole. And if you look from upper, you say there's a hole. And if you look from side, there's a hole. There's nothing. But other half of the cerebellum makes its function. Okay, it's the end of my presentation. There are the videos I took from.